There were many trailers at Gamescom last week, but Halo Infinite raised additional eyebrows due to its lack of campaign footage. After having already received a year-long delay, news of no co-op at the game's launch, and its new December 8th release date rapidly approaching, fans are concerned as to why 343 is being so cagey about Infinite's campaign. All right, Kyle. Reception to the gameplay trailer a year back was less than thrilling. And then, obviously, Halo Infinite was pushed to the end of this year. And now we're hearing that the game will launch with major features not yet live. We both grew up in Halo's heyday. How's this landing for you?
But no co-op? What's the point? Hot take right there. I know, but like that's kind of the magic. We've all ran around with shooters. Doom has become an icon and a puzzle game. It's not just a shooter. It's a puzzle game. And you're constantly moving, trying to figure out which gun you're going to use on which enemy, knowing which combos, slowly learning as the game teaches you how to play. And yes, there are, who you're going to use the certain grenade on, what you're going to save this ammo for, what sort of combo of weapons you're going to use in Halo, but there's nothing that's really blowing my mind here and making me need to experience like a God of War might, for instance, like some of our PlayStation exclusives might with their stories. I don't really particularly understand why this guy's so excited. We woke up Master Chief, sure, but he is animated, like too animated, like Black Box Theater. I'm in the back row and I have to be able to see the Shakespeare kind of animated.
I feel like they were very. You're of course talking about the trailer from over a year ago now.
Yes.
Which today is pretty much the only footage we've seen of the campaign, and the reception too was that folks weren't stoked with the visuals. They didn't think it really looked like a next gen game. I wasn't in that camp. I thought this looked fine. Like to me, Halo's never been hyper realistic. It's always had a bit of a style to it. Kind of on the subtle end, but like Halo, I don't know. Halo looks like Halo to me, I guess is a weird way to put it. I'm bad at kind of explaining my thought process here, but I didn't have a strong negative reaction to this gameplay trailer. But in terms of the over animated like news side character that's super stoked about Master Chief, yeah, I'm with you. I think it was a little strange. I think they were just very excited about, I don't know, the facial structure animation stuff, because while it's it's not blowing any minds, it's very good for Halo.
Sure. I too remember watching multiple videos of people criticizing the graphics here. And what was the problem? Outside of not really sure if that's ammo, an ammo clip sitting out of the side of the gun or not, I don't really have a serious problem. Maybe the foliage is off. I agree that something about these gameplay footages they've showing looks kind of weird. But I can't put my finger on it outside. Maybe I'm just straight up traumatized by cylindrical, or should I say like hexagonal rock formations.
There is a lot of that going on in this.
Dude, I can't handle it anymore. Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem. That's all I got to say. 2 games that have used this rock formation. Dragon Age Inquisition was okay. But also, why are we so obsessed?
That did have hexagonal rock formations.
Why
You're
are
right.
we obsessed
I haven't
with
thought
this?
about Inquisition in a long time.
When did this happen that we all agreed like some rocks off the side of Britain are the most thrilling things on the planet?
It's easy to make in a polygonal creation tool.
I mean, there is, of course, an element that, it works in a world where, like Mass Effect, in a world where there are some influences of technology. And if we're on a Halo ring or a generated world by technology, it makes sense that things might get a little square and weird looking when it comes to nature. I'm okay with that. I think one of the really interesting things to go back to what made Halo 1 so great is that it was extremely readable. And as we've continued to increase the graphics, the game has become less so.
That's interesting, because I don't think I agree with that, with the exception of the remaster of Combat Evolved, because that is visually busy, I think, to a bit of its detriment. But I think the newer ones, I think that's part of the reason they look the way they do. I think it's this push and pull of wanting to take advantage of, the new hardware, but still keep it I guess if I had to describe the Halo stuff, it's kind of clean. It is a very clean and colorful world. Everything's color coded, and it's easy to kind of read the enemies and read the landscape in a way that, like, I don't know. You know what? It reminds me of Windows XP wallpapers. The grass is very green. The sky is very blue.
Okay.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I've always kind of just taken it as a stylistic choice. It's just like Halo. That's what Halo looks like to me. So I don't think I get down with that. Outside of the anniversary like reskins where they've made it look more technically detailed, but to me, I've always thought that like the collector's edition, the Halo Anniversary Combat Evolved like re-release thing, it's visually busy. When it originally came out, which was now 10 years ago, I believe the Combat Evolved Anniversary was 2011. I was pretty impressed by it, but now I'm just kind of like, it's kind of busy. I'm almost ready for another redo of the OG Halo.
So what's the one that was on Xbox Live or Game Pass?
Oh, I mean, they're all on Game Pass. But if you were playing like a quote unquote prettier version of Halo 1, I mean, it's the anniversary re-release, and now it's part of the Master Chief Collection.
Right, the one where you could press the button and you would get lost in the labyrinth that was the underground of the ring, and you would basically go, "Where am I?" Turn off the graphics for a moment and go, "Oh, there's the door." Turn back on the graphics so you could actually tell where you were.
It's funny you mentioned that because I distinctly remember my first time playing Halo getting very lost on the snow levels that had the identical corridors in multiple places, and you needed the arrows on the ground to know where the hell to go. And in the reskinned version, the arrows on the ground are so much harder to see. They really blend in.
They sort of like, they took them away. They were so important. Yeah. And they added more, the Matrix going by, but it was really, really difficult. Now, granted, I am quite jaded. I do have to reveal my bias here because that thing crashed non-stop on Xbox. Every 40 minutes, disconnects from the internet would cause it to lose my spot, would restart the game randomly. This was 2020 Christmas kind of time, but it really jaded my opinion of a master redone collection or any sort of Halo product going forward.
You had a very interesting experience. I've had no issue whatsoever anywhere I've played the Master Chief Collection. And you're not alone. I mean, the Master Chief Collection has had a lot of kind of bumps along the way. But I started playing that damn thing like right at the get-go. As soon as it was available on PC, I was diving in and enjoying Reach in 4K, and I didn't have any problems at all. I was really stoked about it. I'm a giant Halo fan, and even I'll admit, basically everything post Bungie hasn't been the strongest Halo, but I still enjoy it. I really like that world. I really like the aesthetic of Halo. And I am definitely in the camp of more Halo is good Halo, and I will continue playing it. But it's funny. Like, I'm happy to admit that I don't think post Bungie Halos have been the strongest, but I've still enjoyed them. So to me, the like hearing that there's going to be no co-op at launch is like the most negative thing I could learn about a new Halo thing. Because to me, like all of my nostalgia for Halo is completely linked to staying up all night with my friends, beating a new Halo campaign in co-op the first damn night it's available. Like this is going for me. This is up there with vanilla World of Warcraft in terms of my video game nostalgia, because this was going to midnight releases with friends, picking up the game, coming home with a pallet of Red Bull from Sam's Club, and staying up until the sun rises beating the game.
Nice. My experience was more legendary based. I love that it had that difficulty that was so extreme. I beat it with my sister. I beat it with my best friends. Like the legendary, I'm gonna stay here, you're now my spawn point, you go because you have ammo left, now I'm your spawn point. That whole strategy was so awesome to me and made the game replayable on so many levels. So when 2 came out, and there was these things called like lizard snipers, and they would insta one-shot you in Legendary, I kind of checked out of the franchise. Because they showed...
Halo 2 Legendary is, to me, as someone who doesn't like Souls games, the most punishing game experience I've ever experienced, and that is the only Halo game I have not beaten on Legendary.
It was pointlessly brutal. It lacked the refinement, and to bring you to work in your Souls comment, there's a reason why Dark Souls games don't have difficulty. Yes, there's New Game Plus kind of stuff nowadays, but the idea is that you're playing a crafted experience. The original Dragon Age, for instance, when you up the difficulty, it actually changed where the enemies would spawn, which enemies would spawn in the room. It wasn't just a flat increase of health. And I think it's very popular nowadays to accuse things of being bullet spongy. I don't think Halo ever had that issue. Yes, it sometimes in Legendary and such took a lot of bullets to break an elite shield, but it never felt like I was having to reload too much. It was more that I was going to empty the entire clip and then maybe change to another gun or use a charged plasma pistol and then switch to a shotgun and go in melee. I was making tactical decisions. But that insta-kill sniper just killed my desire to play any future Halo game. And Cortana got sexy. I from a distance, my understanding is that things just got really weird, and I'm not sure why.
I mean, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, like, I guess I could take you on a rabbit. I mean, I guess. I mean, graphics also just got more high fidelity, and Cortana was always basically nude.
Sure, techno suit and all that, but what happened there to someone who stopped after Halo 2 storyline wise? Things got really weird. There were flying priests. there were like new factions of brutes and stuff.
I mean, lore wise, you just got to see more of the Covenant, and you learned the game started to cross over with the books, which I've only read a handful of. Honestly, you could probably just read the original Reach novel, and it explains a ton of this, and the game started to pull from that. I will say, without explaining too much of it in the game itself, if you read the books, you're like, oh, damn, that's really cool. And the game itself was just kind of like, I don't know, they got a high priest now, and you're going to punch him to death.
Okay, I mean, I did like punching him to death. He was a jerk, and he put me through a lot, and I didn't really mind that. It was more that people started getting away. And it started going a little long in the tooth, and that's where I got a bit confused.
Yeah. I mean, if you check that at 2, which I do not blame you, 2's Legendary experience I thought was just punishing to a point where it was not fun.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that. Really, the issue with 2 was not only did the snipers one-shot you in Legendary, but it would reset you if one of you died.
Yes.
Whereas every other Halo game, if one of you was still alive, you could continue fighting until you got to essentially a Halo version of a checkpoint, and then it would respawn your teammate. Or you ended combat by killing everything. And Halo 2 didn't do that, but Halo 3 brought that back. And also Halo 3 went up to 4-player co-op, which I actually took advantage of. That was fun. Oh, Halo 3 launch night. That was a memorable experience because we crammed 4 people into what was essentially my college house at the time and played the crap out of it. But I don't know. I don't know how much I want to go down the sexy Cortana rabbit hole other than graphics improved, and she got a major costume update in the most recent Halo. So she's also actually like wearing digital clothes now, I guess. That's the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
How much lore do I need to know if I wanted to get invested in Infinite? It doesn't seem like much. It seems like we're doing a world reset. Anyone can join the game kind of marketing.
Yeah, it feels to me like a soft reboot, but also again, we've only seen really the one trailer of the campaign, so I don't know how much I don't know how much of a soft reboot it is. It certainly has that feel. I guess mild spoilers for everything post Halo 3. Like the cliff notes are Cortana is kind of a bad guy now and no longer with Chief.
Oh.
and the Covenant you're fighting is like like a splinter faction of even more religious zealotry that splintered off from the group that you essentially defeated by the end of the original trilogy.
Okay, I can see it going there, because we also had that whole side story with where you played as the Elite, voiced by Keith David, if I remember correctly.
Yes, some phenomenal voice work on the Arbiter. There or not? Was it the it was the Arbiter. I really enjoyed all that. I'm weirdly into Halo lore, so I could get really deep into this. So like I'm if you haven't gotten the gist here, Kyle, I am kind of like firmly in the crux of kind of bummed about everything coming out about Infinite. I actually would love to see more of the campaign because I am curious where the lore is going, and I had like among the maximum game nostalgia that exists within my mind is Halo co-op. So I'm actually chomping at the bit for more campaign sneak peeks, and I was hoping, dude, one of my like dreams is to convince you to just like co-op a shit ton of Halo with me. And I was kind of hoping like this is the first new Halo hitting PC simultaneously with the console release. I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is finally the year I can weasel Kyle into some Halo co-op. And this news drops, and I'm just like, oh, come on. It is deflating to say the least as a hardcore Halo campaign fan.
So if this is a marketing strategy, for instance, what is the strategy? I assume that we're saying co-op is not available on release.
On release, yeah, they say it's to follow, and I believe there was some verbiage saying it's going to be in the first major update, but it sounds like the first major update is going to be months out.
Okay.
So, I mean, to me, it's hard not to look at this and just go, it's a mixture of not particularly warm reception to the initial campaign trailer and freaking COVID. We've been talking about COVID delays in our coverage of Blizzard games. I mean, it really hurt World of Warcraft in the last year, in terms of the longest wait that game ever had for a post-expansion launch patch. So it's like we are seeing this across the board. The whole gaming industry has been a story of delays since the pandemic hit. So I have to imagine that's playing a factor here. Plus the fact that it seems like they kind of, once the reception to that initial campaign trailer was not great, it was shortly after that they announced, hey, we're going to push this from being an Xbox One X release game to the end of next year. Like they announced that we're pushing this more than a year shortly after that campaign trailer. So, I mean, to me, it just seems like a confluence of factors.
And there's some scary verbiage in this particular trailer that was released during Gamescom, where it says multiplayer season 1. So we are passing on co-op, the thing that made Halo great, and perhaps even evolved combat in the first place, for a seasonal structure where there's a storyline, or what? Why? Why does the campaign take a back seat, but then we all sit down and we're like, by the way, though, get ready for seasonal stories in your multiplayer?
I don't know how much of a seasonal story there is in multiplayer, so much as I think they're kind of taking a page out of the books of every other multiplayer shooter now that does work in seasons, as well as there is a larger push for multiplayer as it's going to be free to play.
Okay.
Like Halo multiplayer is going to be, like Halo Infinite multiplayer is going to be available as this standalone download that anyone can just go and start playing right away for free, which is a first. So there's also its own kind of like push for competitive Halo, essentially, which has always been it's always like it's had its highs and its lows, but like competitive Halo still exists as a strong niche.
Are we going to get loot boxes? We're past loot boxes, but I'm assuming then there is a way to make money off of the free version of the game with multiplayer only.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, we're not. Don't be silly.
You don't make a free-to-play game without trying to find ways to monetize it.
Absolutely. Now, I don't think there's ever been a shooter that's done the sort of League of Legends mobile or even just League of Legends sort of build up your runes, build up your passive items kind of thing. But certainly skins, and maybe that's what they're kind of expressing in this multiplayer trailer, is that you become the Spartan. You make your own character. You decide what skins you purchase and what colors they are.
Yeah. I believe a battle pass has been also confirmed.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
That's kind of the direction they're going to be going. There were some headlines just a few days ago that the progression on the battle pass are going to be tied to more specific quote unquote challenges rather than per match experience. I don't know the more technical details of that, but I think they're trying to make it sound a little more approachable to folks like you and I who may go into Halo and immediately die horribly. not rack up a lot of kills in a single multiplayer game.
Interesting. I think it's weird though that the campaign trailer from a year ago was really showcasing how things might be more dynamic or even more evolved. Plus we have a grappling hook, which was all the rage in 2020. Who's to say if that actually matters now? We passed bows, by the way. It's now all about grappling hooks.
Yeah. Although, I mean, we're going to have a Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, so we're going right back to Bowland.
Okay, that's good.
We're going right back to Bowland with awesome hair tech.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So, I saw something at Gamescom that was more interesting looking, honestly, and it was called Splitgate. And I've got no...
Oh, have you not seen Splitgate already?
No, this is my first exposure to it, and I thought the whole idea of doing Portal Shooter was more evolved than anything that I think that the Halo campaign has shown that is actually going to make it into multiplayer. Maybe the grappling hook will, but I don't expect them to allow us to do many of the things that we love from old Halo gameplay, like getting in the truck and driving over people and running around all crazy like. I'm expecting...
Oh, there's totally gonna be maps with warthogs where you can run people over. It's Halo, Kyle.
Well, can I get my ghost stuck? Like I
am sure you can get your ghost. It wouldn't be a Halo game if you can't get your ghost stuck.
I'm concerned, and
I love that that's a killer feature for you. Can I get my ghost stuck?
I really do think that something like Splitgate, that one isn't tied to Microsoft in that sort of direct way. I think it's really going to be interesting to see a game like this have at it and actually evolve their game as they go, because we're already seeing Microsoft make cuts to Halo based on initial reactions. This is kind of that Smite Heroes of the Storm sort of thing. Like, another developer is happy to have the audience they have and wants to keep growing their game, whereas we're seeing constantly big developers say, oh, you didn't like it? Well, no more for you then. Well, we're not going to fix it. That'd be silly.
Again, though, I think this is also, there's outside factors as well.
Of course.
Like the sudden onset of having to work from home.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, to me, I go kind of in the opposite direction. I know you and I talk a lot off air about how things like Heroes of the Storm, like, and I agree with you that like smaller studios would be stoked to have a community like Heroes of the Storm has, but with a studio like Blizzard, it's small potatoes and it doesn't get a lot of love, even though it gets more regular updates than most of Blizzard's other titles. Whereas you look at the performance of Halo, and I think you look at again, gesturing broadly to post-Bungie Halo, it hasn't set the world on fire. Halo has not been top dog really since Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty. Like, Call of Duty really ate Halo's lunch, and Halo, I don't think, has ever truly recovered from it. And so the fact that we've gotten as many new Halo installments as we have, I think, kind of speaks to Microsoft's willingness to continue making new ones despite not being the biggest dog on the block, if that makes sense.
I get you.
But it all, like, also, I think it's just as easy to kind of take that and spin it as they're not too sure how to evolve Halo into a point where it's really interesting again and really captures everyone's excitement again. But again, it's like for me, I'm in the camp of I just like playing more Halo. Like I don't need them to really shoot for the moon, as exciting as it would be for Halo to be the biggest thing again in gaming. I'm in the camp of I don't need it to be.
And I'm in the camp of if it ain't got co-op, it ain't Halo. And I'll play something else.
Now that we agree on. I will be bothering you when that co-op patch hits.
Sure, bother away.
So rad. I can make this promise, dear watchers and listeners. I will find a way to shoehorn Halo talk into this project as much as I possibly can, as there are updates to Halo. I dearly love this franchise. So anyways, I'd love to know your thoughts. Let us know what you think of Halo not having co-op. I have still managed to find ways to find somebody, even in my now adult life, to play co-op with me whenever new Halo launches. So it's a real sticking point for me. But let me know, where do you stand on Halo co-op? Is it a thing of the past for you? You don't care. You playing Halo solo, or are you on the other end? Do you have kids now? Were you really stoked about playing Halo co-op with them for the first time? And this is a bummer because I've heard from some folks that is the case. Let us know. Leave a comment below or write into itncast@gmail.com. Other than that, it's going to bring us to the end of this edition of Nexus Gaming News. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Or if you're a podcast listener, make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, good luck and have fun.